This is our monthly meeting of the Paddlecraft Coordinators meeting. Tonight we have two topics that I think are really useful for Paddlecraft coordinators. Uh, One is kind of a high-level description of the AUXPAD program that Chuck drafted and kind of got some help from Scott, and I chimed in, and we've all been kind of chewing on it a little bit. It's really useful for just describing the program to people at the district level, whether it's the gold side or the silver side, and just trying to clarify what the program's all about and what the priorities are, and some of the operational and outreach aspects of it. Uh, just make it so that people can understand the program easily. The second topic is kind of a deep dive on re-year issues. Every year about this time, we have a bunch of people going into re-year, and we always try to figure out what the heck's going on. Our numbers are dropping off. We thought we were growing, but uh, it doesn't show up in AUXDATA. Joey's going to talk to us about kind of what it takes to stay in re-year and how to monitor that, uh, and that what are some of the things that a paddlecraft coordinator can do to help people, to monitor what's happening with people's qualifications and just make sure everybody understands kind of what boxes need to be checked. The way I understand this, and I think D7's kind of an amazing story, really, like how far you've come in the last year and a half. So a year and a half ago, I don't think you were on the water at all doing patrols. And there was a lot of kind of resistance to the program. And Charles has put a lot of work into kind of explaining what the program is uh, and trying to get the OIAs to understand it too. And I think Charles, you were talking to, was it your Commodore that
Yes.
that asked for the one pager? Says, well, can you just have like a one pager that describes everything you need to know about AUXPAD? And so why don't you describe a little bit about that, kind of how we got here? But I think that's a really interesting story.
Yeah. So Martin Goodwin, D7's district Commodore, asked me at the S train in Miami to put together a one pager because we were discussing, what we could send out to the OIAs, the various OIAs in the district, along with the district chief of staff and the district captains. Just a description of the program, the two components of the program, the ashore portion and the afloat portion, and where we were at currently and where we were looking at to go in the future. So it gives the OIAs a little bit better overview of what we're actually discussing, and what we were looking to do. So from a prompt from Martin Goodwin, our district commodore, Scott and I sat down and put this uh, call it one page. It's actually two pages. One is overview of the program. The second is the current status, where we were sitting at. Um, and this can be a template for, I believe, for every district that is looking to get started with the program and get some information out there to the folks in the auxiliary as well as the folks on the Go side. Because that's who we really need to inform on the program is the folks on the Gold side, especially for the afloat side, what we're looking to do and what the program's all about. Because they're the ones that are going to need to get the warm fuzzies so they feel comfortable actually cutting orders for getting underway with the program. Now, we can all go out and paddle with our various groups and stuff, as regular paddlers, but if we want to be under orders, it's the order issuing authorities that are the bottom line on the afloat side of the program.
So I think so part of it's kind of getting on the water, and then I think as we've all heard Scott talk about how important the AUXPAD Ashore part of this is. And and this one page, the first page here, I think does a really good job of that. It starts off with just kind of what is the mission of the program, and talks about the national strategic plan, some of the statistics, and how important it is to reach paddlers, uh, and then goes from that right into AUXPAD Ashore. And I think that's something that I think we really need to emphasize, particularly in some of these districts that aren't confident about putting people on the water. Uh, that even if we don't have people on the water, that there's a lot we can be doing ashore. That's a key. That's a key part of the program. Uh, it talks about the afloat component. It's got some really good links here, that really good resources, and uh, and I think down here at the bottom, I think this is important too. The business about how should we structure? We don't have district staff officers for AUXPAD. So what's authorized, what isn't authorized, uh, and then this issue about being sure that we work with our state liaison officers and our recreational boating safety specialists when we're dealing with state boating agencies. So there's a lot of information on this one page, and I really do think it's a great template for other districts to think about if they're going to be doing some of this the same explaining, to people in their districts. You want to talk about the second page a little bit? Yeah, Chris.
Just a quick note, we here in First Southern literally just finished our deep cleaning. I'm happy to send the PowerPoint we use. We developed in association with Mark Moratzitz from First Northern. But one of the things our OTO was specifically interested in, he thought we could go out on inflatable stand-up paddleboards. So defining that the boats we will eventually go out on as a float are not the ones that are going to get us in trouble. I would suggest adding that to your one pager.
So it is a one pager, and I had to really struggle to get it onto one page. So what I would suggest is that, and you can modify this certainly, if you think that's important for your district. Uh, but I think in addition to this one page, I think you should really know the ins and outs of what's in the AUXPAD handbook so that you can address those kinds of questions, if they come up. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in addition to sending this one pager out, personally, I have a open meeting either every week or every other week. And it's been consistent pretty much every week on a Wednesday night. And that's where anybody that's interested in the AUXPAD program can link into that Zoom meeting. It goes out to the division commanders, and it goes out to the ASCs and AUCs, so they can get, if the Gold side chooses to come into the meeting, they can as well. And we go over any questions about the AUXPAD program here in the district and where we stand and what we need support with, both the ashore side and the afloat side. And I've got some great folks here in District 7 between Don Rice and Donna Hornsby, and the folks down in Miami, and the folks up in Georgia and South Carolina are just fantastic. Both promoting the program and keeping me informed. I mean, obviously Robin Pope and Walter Ronk and those guys. But yeah, that's kind of where we stand. And you're absolutely correct, Roland, on the auxiliary structure in the district. I mean, the Commodores can create that ADSO position, which is the official position. Kind of the unofficial position is what we all are as district coordinators.
And one of the things Scott likes to emphasize is it really should be in prevention.
Yep.
That we don't want to be in operations. Our mission is recreational boating safety. So it's probably better for us to be in that part of the organization uh, so that people understand kind of what we're all about.
Yeah, and 2 years ago when the District 7 was looking at it, they were kind of going back and forth between prevention and operations, and for whatever reason, they decided to put it under operations here in this district. Doesn't mean that all I agree with you. It kind of does need to be under prevention, but the position's already established, and
Yeah,
they don't want to retread an old tire. So.
yeah. And that's one reason I think that we really need a DSO. We need to have uh, some clarity from district to district about what we are and where to find us, you know. Uh, so, and that's one of the things I'm trying to accomplish with our spreadsheet, you know, where I want everybody to say what they're doing in the district and just who's in charge, what their title is, and how to get a hold of them, you know, so that at least if somebody comes to us, we can send them in the right direction.
Yeah, and here in District 7, the coordination with the state liaison officers is really going to be a key portion because a lot of our paddling takes place on sole state waters, the different rivers that are not necessarily, when you get up to the headwaters, they're not necessarily considered navigable, but and then we've got a lot of lakes and large lakes here in Florida and a lot of mangrove swamps and stuff. So, that's it's key to get with the state liaison officers. That way they can reach out to the state parks, and if the state park has a an activity that's going on that they want our help with, they can reach back through them and get the coordination going that way.
Yep. And Chris, I did make a small edit here that pushed it onto the second page, but I said that may receive patrol orders to conduct outreach activities underway in kayak facilities. Um, so we're not on SUPs and we're not in inflatables.
Sure.
Any other discussion of this? I think this is a really good thing to work with. Uh, Really for all of us. I mean, you know, District 5 South, I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, but there's still a lot of people that don't understand the program, I think. Um, so I think we can all use something like this. And actually, this first page, I think, could be adapted for lots of other uses, not just for explaining it to administratively within the district, but you know, just explaining it to the ACA, you know, to our paddle clubs, whoever it is that we're trying to partner with, all those kinds of things.
And just as a side note, remember, as a coordinator, don't get frustrated with folks because I mean, every 3 years, basically, you can set your watch by it. There's going to be a turnover on the gold side, and you're going to have to explain this all over again.
Excellent,
So,
excellent point. Yeah. So, Joey's chomping at the bit over here. He's got some really good stuff that he wants to tell us about with Rear. Uh, he knows how to make it exciting. So, do you want? So, do I need to do anything for you to share your screen, Joey? Or I think.
Let's see if I can do it. Charles, that was a great document that you put out there, buddy. It looks good, and definitely, folks use it, abuse it. That's good stuff out there. Thanks for doing that, Chuck. Appreciate it, buddy.
no problems. And thanks for everybody that was involved, to Scott especially.
Yep.
All right. All right. You see my screen. And I'm glad that Chuck's online as well as Chris. Chris, you are, yeah. Thumbs up there. Both you, Chuck and Chris, keep me honest, So re-year, basically. And let's see if I can just say this real quick. December 2023, they put a re-year capture enhancement in AUXDATA 2. And that threw the AUXPAD program into a tizzy. It just sent us a lot of folks into re-year. And we've been trying to play catch up on it and capture those folks and put them on the good path. And I think we have done that. And I think, Chuck, we picked up a couple and made them correct. And with Chris's help, we've straightened some out and a lot of out in D5. So, as Rollins says, with my expertise in this area, let's see if we can make this discussion go pretty good. First thing let's cover, and if you don't know the handbook, take a look at the handbook, all the requirements for our program. Is that big enough for folks to see? Good. Colorful enough? How's that? Anyhow, AUXPAD operators and qualifiers, we got these things to keep our eyes on. And you as district coordinators, district champions, the heroes of the great AUXPAD program, you got to keep eye on your members and their annual TCT refresher. This actually is just a representation of my status at the current time frame. My TCT refresher I just completed in what is this, March. So it goes for 15 months. So folks thinks that it's annually, it goes for 15 months. I'm good until next year, 2026. And there's some counts that happen and occur. A lot of this stuff is captured. All this stuff is captured in AUXDATA. So I want folks to get comfortable with climbing into AUXDATA and taking a look at the guts. And if you have any questions about it, please feel free to give Chris Howe a call. I have no objections with that. I love you, Chris. You know that I do. So for the AUXPAD program, there's these 5 things that you're looking at right here. All right. Annual TCT refresher. We have to do that usually every year. And then the other one is operations workshop every year. And if you take it, it's good until the end of the following year. So I still got to do that this year. As Rollins said, we got a couple of programs coming up. I got a couple of D trains coming up that I'm going to be taking this at as well. And that's why I'm in the yellow. You're going to be seeing a lot of green, yellow, and red. So my ops right now is in the yellow because my days due are coming up quickly, and I've got to take care of that. So this big monster, the AQ approval PCO, that's what's been giving us a headache for the last year and a half or so since they installed that re-year capture. And you're going to hear a lot of verbiage, your check ride, your QE, that sort of thing. Basically, what it means is you've got to go through the program, get the paperwork, get your PQS done every 3 years. And it's a running 3 years. So mine's June 2023. It'll expire at the end of December 2026. And I'll show you some of this stuff. Matter of fact, hold on a minute. I got AUXDATA up at the moment, and I don't want to lose it. So I'll be bouncing back and forth. I apologize. So intro to RM, that's only one time, not a big deal. So those are your big things, and I'll show you where to find them. The other thing that you're going to get caught on, you got to pay attention to this, is your uniform inspection. You'll go into re-year and you won't be allowed to do things if your uniform inspection isn't up to snuff. So you got to pay attention to that as a AUXPAD coordinator. The other thing you got to make sure you're aware of is staying on top of your core training. What is it, every 5 years? And this suicide prevention, mine's in red because they're not supposed to look at this thing until the end of 2025. So that's not even started yet. But my other core training looks in the green. I did this last a couple years ago. It's good for 5 years. So I'm good till 2027. This is just giving you a rundown of things you should be looking at in AUXDATA. The other thing is make sure, even though this is one time, some folks think that, well, I can still go on with the program, but you got to finish these things up to be in good standing. And then the other thing, and Ron, stop me, but if you speak up, but they started capturing some of these other things, PPE and our facility inspections. So if those things get highlighted, you might want to pay attention to that. And I'll show you that in a minute. So to pay attention to all these things, AUXDATA has a list of reports, okay? And get comfortable signing on to AUXDATA and take a look at it. And you'll hear AUXDATA, AUXDATA 2, AD2. It's the same beast. So the home screen, what you want to do, and I'll send this out. I'll send this out on the same sheet that I'm just taking some notes. Basically, there's kind of a list of reports that you can use. And Chris, help me out here. When did they change? And I guess it's been a couple of years. The performance reports, they moved them to the quick reports, and that kind of blew me off the waters for a little bit. That's been a couple of years now, I think.
That was at least last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't been paying attention. So it's a different way of running reports, but it does give you some great information that we as leaders can pay attention and give our members a heads up that they're going into the yellow, they're going into the red. And I'll make these tips out here where you can find some of this stuff, because there's a couple different places under these quick reports, quick stop reports, under the matrix style, competencies, and our training management reports. So let's go through a couple of them. So once you're in AUXDATA 2, pay attention to the reports. If you haven't noticed, I've signed on to this meeting twice because I'm watching what I'm doing on another computer so I can see how it looks to you folks. Let's see. I'm going to go into all folders. I take a jump into the quick stop reports. And the first one I'm going to do is look at competencies and training. And I'm going pretty quick, but I'll send out some of these steps so that folks can take a look at them. And what I just talked to Chris Howe about, they used to have this on our Coast Guard Auxiliary homepage, and you could just go through one of their directorates and find the performance reports. So now they've drilled down into the in AUXDATA 2. So we're under competencies and training. We're going to look at some matrix style reports. One of those matrix style reports is, hey, look at that. And anybody, what does TMR stand for? Not TMI. What's TMR stand for? Chris, help these people out.
Training Management Report.
Ah, very good. Very good. Thank you, Chris. So training management report, it produces, let's run it a little bit. Here's the deal. You're going to see nothing. Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? You got to get a little fancy. Go to the edit. And I'm going to use, you got to go to the filters then.
May I correct you?
Yes.
Back out of that.
Good. Say thank you. See, this is the only way I know how to do this stuff.
Go. So, yeah, AUXPAD, good. Just to the left of the edit, there is a funnel-shaped thing.
There you go.
Click on that.
There you go. Okay, perfect. There you go. It works either way. You can jump in. You can jump into it either way. But what she just showed me is a shortcut. So this is a filter, and it brings up. If you noticed here, you can isolate it to your unit number, and it doesn't have to be to your flotilla specifically. One of the things I do is just D5 South. You run the thing, and here's all your members, your AUXPAD operators. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. See, what am I doing here, Robin? Why didn't you have her talking about this thing? So then you got your list of AUXPAD operators, qualifiers, and you see this. It gives you real readily a red and a green. And here's where you hear about that check ride. Every 3 years, you got to do the PQS. There is some, you can dig down deep, and we'll go through it in just a minute. But you can see that some of these folks, Ken Pete, he's in the red, is 68 in. So that's not looking too good for him. And then you got this other stuff. See the red workshop. You got the NAV rules that folks have to take. It's a good place to go and get a quick run of all who's doing what and what they should be paying attention to. Look at that. This guy right here. He's got to pay attention to his nav rules. So I know we're being recorded, but I will pay for somebody to take that class for me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So this is a great report, and what you can do with these. Hands up. Who's Lisette? Lizette?
Yeah, quick question on the nav rules. Is this just filtered for nav 95? Because there's the other one that we use in operations, our closed book test, like I have the other one.
95, yeah.
So even though we have the closed book, we still have to take the 95?
No,
Like
if
this
you've
is like
taken,
this
if
year.
you've
I mean,
taken,
I just want to make sure I don't fall in on that one. Because
if you've taken the closed book, you should be good.
Okay.
You may need to get, you may need to sign off as a AUXPAD qualifier, to remind somebody of that, but you should be able to get that taken care of.
All right.
Cool. Good question, though. Love it. So, and when you get into these reports, there's a couple things you can do. You can download them, export them. And normally I download in the details only. But if you download a formatted report, let's see what it does when I do that. I'm going to bring up one that I've done in the past. Which one am I looking at? TMR matrix. It brings up something like this. And if you notice what I did here, though, it doesn't put in the colors. It doesn't color code it, doesn't keep the colors. Is there a way to keep those colors, Chris?
I think one of the Excel columns is the formula, but I usually just do what you did and do it by hand.
That's what I do. There's a couple of ways to do it, and you can look to do conditional formatting and look at the rules. I don't know if it's a new rule, but you can change the rules. So if it's equal to, less than, it'll change it to a different color or change it to a color. So what I do is let's do it on this one. For this one, conditional formatting, if it's less than 0, I think is what I should be putting in there. I make it light red. And what it'll do is it'll highlight all the ones so you can readily notice that Ken Pete has all these things. And you do them for all of these, as well as you can do them for the yellow. So you'd have to play with Excel. And this is a great report. Once you've done all the color things to it, you can share it with folks. Split it up, send it to your divisions, send it to folks so that they are aware of what they need to stay in the green for the program. Cool? That is this TMR matrix AUXPAD. And then let's go back to, and you're going to have to help me here, Chris, and going back. I always just go back to reports and walk through it. Is that the only way to do it?
That's how I do it too.
What we're trying to do, what Chris and I are talking about, is has to be some way to go back like 2 notches, but there doesn't seem to be. So we go back, jump in, go back to all folders, go back to quick stop reports, go back to competencies and training. And this time I'm going to look at training management reports. So before we were in the matrix. Oh, that's funny. We were in the matrix. And this time we're going into training management. Scroll down a little bit. And look at here. We got some TMR by competency for AUXPAD. Do the same deal and use that fancy little filter thing that Chris told me about. And change the unit number. And you can do the unit number to your division. You can do it to your flotilla. And if you do it to those levels, you can train folks so they can monitor and pay attention to what they're doing. So how do I get rid of this? So all of this stuff that you're looking at, Mike Andrews here. Here's those. Remember those that table that I showed you? Where is it at? These things here, TCT, PCO, risk management, they are these things. And you can see, let's see if I saved it. Let's do this. Oh, okay. You can see that the status is green on those. It's completed. So they're looking pretty good. Uh-oh, who's this in yellow? What do they got? Glenn Baxter. He's got to do his workshop. And so almost immediately you can see red, green. Take a look at it. Oh, who's this guy right here? Yeah, Charlie hasn't been coming to AUXPAD for a while, so he needs to pay attention to several things. And the same deal, you can export this report. Run the export, do a formatted. And when I say export it, what it does is it brings it and downloads it. These are the reports that I was just ran, the matrix and then the competency. So I have another one, competency, that I downloaded earlier, and I formatted it and used all the conditional coding. And you could see like Carol Blazik, she's in re-year. And she hasn't done a few things that she needs to pay attention to. So Charles Chaplin, the same thing. He's got a couple things in red. So instantly you can start paying attention to who's needing what in terms of these requirements these competencies that we're required to stay on top of. So you can do this with AUXDATA 2 by paying attention to some of these reports. I mentioned real quick on, let's go back. Some of the other things real quick are the, show that. I won't show uniform inspections. We'll go look at that in something else. Quick stop, all folders, quick stop. Your facility management. You can pay attention to surface facilities by unit or expiration date. You can run these. I'm just running them by, I'm going to go specifically to my flotilla. So there's a pattern. You see, you have to change the search criteria. You got to apply the change. Oh, this is radios. Sorry, went through the wrong thing. I'm getting ahead of myself. There we go. This is it. Paddlecraft. So if you're not comfortable with AUXDATA, try to get comfortable with it. It has a lot of great information that you can search on. Let's go with the division, see what we can find. So these are all the boats and flotillas in our division. As you can see, there's 6 in 2501. And these are all the inspection dates that they're waiting to, they've been completed. And when they're due. And that way you can stay on top of who has had the inspection, who has not had the inspection. Here's this troublemaker again. I think his is still good. Looks like it. And there again, you can download it. And that's what I did on this one. And here I am with my 2 kayaks and days to expire. I've got 234 days until October 29th. You can also do that. And this is you can also run a report on last one for the reports is PPE. Folders, quick stop. All folders, quick stop. Miscellaneous reports. I love it. You have to go digging down into where these things are and play with them. That's the, you can do some searches, look for the word paddlecraft, see what you can find. But I'm just trying to give you a heads up on where some things are located. And I'll send out this list. Unit PPE report. So this is a unit PPE report, same thing. I'm just running it for my flotilla. And look at here. I'm not boat crew. So all these things you're looking at are my PPE that was issued to me or personally owned. And if you notice, they're red. They're not enacting on this yet. but this is just a heads up because I'm guessing sooner rather than later. But so they're looking at things, PLBs,
Hey,
type of
Joey,
yeah.
um, you're running all these reports out of a public folder. Is that how you're doing it?
Yes, sir.
And so do you have to be careful not to change things in a way that's going to screw it up for whoever put it there? Or what's the right way to do this? I guess that's what I'm
Speak
at.
up, Chris, because I think they're locked. I think they're locked.
All the idea behind the quick stop
Yep.
is you can't ruin them.
Yep.
Okay.
You can try, like when Joey first opened the edit, he would have gotten himself in trouble, but I think I'm 99% sure they've explicitly set them up so that you cannot change the template.
Okay. Thanks.
I will try. I will test it, Chris, and
If you will.
I will.
Yeah, you cannot
Yeah.
screw up the report that's locked like that. You can create a personal report based on those reports, but you can't screw up what's already in there and locked.
Exactly. So encourage folks to get out there, and that's why they did it. They made these quick reports so that they can be run, and on an individual basis, we can look to see what our group, our division, our flotilla, our district, whatever. And so you'll have to poke around with all this stuff and get familiar with it. And if you have questions, you've got two experts online right here, Charles and Chris. I'm going to use those names out there. So
Nowhere near an expert.
come on now. Okay, so all that stuff I showed you on the reports and on the spreadsheets once you download them, just for kicks, let's go to my record. And you'll see how this is all related. So this is my record. I'm an old COBOL guy. So this is my home base. See this right here? You can see my last uniform inspection date. And I've got to go through and follow up on that. My BQ2, C2, AUXCT. There's a lot of good information out here that you can look at. Related. And I'm going to go jump down in my AUXPAD operator. I always blow this up, and some people just stay in it, but I can see right away my nav rules. I've got to take a look at everything I showed you on the reports is right here. And you can see the yellows. You can see operation workshop is yellow. It's due by the end of the year. My risk management course. So once you find somebody that's in re-year or has some yellow, you can dive directly into their record and start taking a look at what's going on and help them out, because it'll tell you what the situation, what's happening, and why they are in re-year. That's kind of my spiel, Roland. I wanted to keep it short and sweet because I know a lot of people aren't quite comfortable with AUXDATA, but let's put it this way. If I can figure this stuff out, anybody can use it and work with it, and we will help them through. Chris, Charles, anything you'd like to add or say about this?
Hey, Joey, go back to your record for your PPE, and I haven't looked at that, and let's see what it shows.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just go back a screen.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, just go up to the top for your PPE. The other top.
Oh, I think down here, isn't it? Right there.
Okay, there you go.
So
yeah, so your type 3, when you click on that on the subtype, does it show that it's personally owned? Maybe the record number.
Yep. And that's a good question. Barbara Allen and I have talked about there's some things that they being the higher powers that be, that I can't see.
Right. So yeah, it shows that they put the comments in.
Yep.
So whoever did the inspection, and I don't know if you have the ability to edit that or not, but
I could try it. I'll try anything. But
yeah, you might have the ability where it looks like it's editing it, but
right.
when you try to save it, it probably won't save it. I don't know. It might. Nope.
I gotta
Oh,
enter
you gotta
this.
do the
Yeah,
serial number, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah.
And I can grab that, or we can make something up. But that's so. There are some things we can, some things we can't, some things we can update. So yeah, but this is all good stuff. And where you find out this, they're going to start capturing this. In D5, they started asking us for all these things. I don't know if they do them for all districts at this point.
So there's new wonderful things that happened, I think in November for again, because First Southern is just starting this out and Lizette and I are the guinea pigs to test some of it. There is now a category, um, AUXPAD PFD,
Huh.
where in the comments you're supposed to put the make and the model. And we just had our D train and Master Chief Park from BSX was there. Roland, you probably have been working with Master Chief on all of this,
Yeah.
so I won't go into it. But for people that are entering new PPE, you should be aware of that option for AUXPAD PFD.
Do you know where that would show up, Chris? Where would I go? Yeah,
You would have to enter a new one.
gotcha.
You probably don't have permissions to
Yeah,
change that. Your PPE manager, again, in First Southern, we have specific appointed officers
yep.
called RSS. I think every district must do that. They are the experts. So just remind them that some things have changed. They work directly with our OTO. I don't know if that's the same in every district
Yeah.
to keep up to date on all that.
Well, thank you for saying that. Oh, they haven't activated. Never mind. I retract my question there. We'll wait till see what happens.
So Joey, it sounds like and it looks like it'd be fairly easy for you to share some of the things you had, your list of uh, things that have to be maintained to be certified, and maybe a list of how to get to kind of through these directories to get down to the quick stop reports and just kind of a little bit of a roadmap on how to kind of get us to where the playground is, I guess.
Yep, that's my understanding of it, and it will help us out because once folks get more comfortable, familiar, they'll have more eyes looking at it, where to look at it, and where to poke the bear, basically.
And I think, I think this is really important for a AUXPAD coordinator to be able to do this stuff, to be able to be good at AUXDATA, to find what the issues are with members, and and to give them a little bit of a heads up. There's a lot of people that, but if you're not a coxswain and you're just doing AUXPAD, uh, you never have to take 70
Yeah.
anymore. It used to be that you started off just like a coxswain and did 7. I think it was. At least that's the way I did it. Maybe I didn't have to. I think that was the rule.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Any other questions for Joey or comments for the group? Yeah, Chris.
I just found it. So I'm an IS officer. And the January National IS training was on just what Joey talked about. And I just found the email they sent out. I don't know if the recording is still available. Pam Berger presented it, but her PowerPoint slides and then her cheat sheet, how to read the red and the green and all that. I will forward that, to Roland, to you, and then you can send it out.
Okay, we can do that. Maybe we can bundle the. So maybe send it to Joey and see if he can decide like how to interface it with his material. If there's if it's duplicative or whether we put both together in one package.
All right, Joey, you're on the hook.
Chris has been very helpful to me on a couple of things with this, so
Yes, yes.
she's very good. She's
Yeah.
very good with this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome aboard, Chris. Uh, uh, okay. Well, thank you. I'll get this recording wrapped up and posted the next day or two, I think it should be really useful for people.